Hello, hello. Do you love my pink ring light? And my glasses, I guess I could take these off. Okay, friends. Hello. My name is Lindsay Dollinger, and I wanted to share 7 lessons that I have learned along the way from, or I guess, yeah, from building a six-figure business. And they're in no particular order. They're just things that have been on my heart. They've come up a lot in different conversations with people, and I want to share them with you. Okay. So I jotted them down in my Trello board, which is not one of my tips, but it should be one of my tips is to organize yourself. Um, because that has been a huge thing for me. But if you do not know who I am, my name is Lindsay Dollinger. I am a magically inspired business coach, aka I'm obsessed with Disney, and I try to bring it in as much as I can to my content. I don't necessarily bring it in to business coaching if it's not like pertinent to what we are doing. But I am the podcast host of the Purpose and Pixie Dust podcast, so that's why it says that down here at the bottom, and a high school Spanish teacher because I love teaching. I have always loved teaching. I've loved coaching, and I've really just loved sharing what has worked for me and been successful for me. And I started in business in 2016 in network marketing. I went to a few different companies before I got to the top less than 1% in the company that I was participating in. That's my dog Bella. If you hear her barking, because we have a farmer out there looking at cows. That's how we're at. I'm located in Ohio. But so I grew that business to the top less than 1%. And I did that while I was working full time. And I just learned so much from it that I started a free group, I started a podcast, and I really just had so much passion for wanting to share and help women do the same thing that I was doing. So that's how I very naturally evolved into becoming a business coach. And so I'm just going to dive into some of the lessons that I have learned along the way in no particular order. And the first one, and this one was probably the hardest for me to learn, was don't count on friends or your family or really anyone to buy from you or to support you in any way. So, this is just more maybe even me on like a personal level, but I just really had to learn that although I would always support people the best way that I possibly could, Bella, it didn't necessarily mean that other people were going to do the same thing, right? Um, and that one was really hard for me. I lost some friendships over it just because I was so hurt, and in not only ways that people weren't supporting me, but in the ways that people would purposely go out of their way to not support me. In some ways, like sabotage what I was trying to do. And I'm not going to dive into that, but just know that it was extremely hurtful. And so if you were going through something like that, I definitely can relate to that. Feel free to send me a DM and I would love to chat with you about that. But because of those things, I learned really quickly that I had to get good at marketing myself, at social media content, at strategy, at email marketing. And I really had to take my business seriously, like a business owner, and just not expect maybe people who had supported me in other ways just to support me in my business. People just didn't get it and didn't understand. So I am very grateful for that because it forced me to, learn strategies, tactics, things that I maybe would never have even considered doing had my family and friends really supported me. And I'm not saying that not everyone did. Obviously, I had family and friends who supported me because I have some amazing people and an amazing network in my life. But there were definitely people who didn't. So that I am very thankful for because it forced me to learn those things. On that same note, another huge lesson, lesson number 2 that I learned was to create it's going to be lonely. Entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely because unless you're in like a co-working space or you have a business partner who's actually doing your exact same business with you, you've created something together, you're going to be by yourself a lot. Like I'm making this video, I came up with this video content, I will be uploading this video, all those pieces, like my business is me. And I have had VAs and assistants and different things along the way, but I am the business. So because it can be lonely, I have learned to surround yourself with people who are going to support your business, the people who get it. And this could be joining, even I found people even in free groups on Facebook, other entrepreneur groups, networking events, but really pushing myself to go out there and find people who I could talk about my business with, who understood it, who got it, who understood why I was driven and motivated and dedicated to this thing, because they also have an entrepreneur spirit and want to do the same sort of thing. So surround yourself with those people so that maybe your family and friends who love you and are trying their best to support you, but they don't really know how, or maybe they're not really interested in what you're doing. Like they want to be interested in you, but they just don't really get the business side of things. That's okay. We can have like different buckets of friends, family support. And I heard someone do a really good analogy about this, but it's kind of like when you have a partner or your best friend or a roommate or something. Like they're not going to be the person who understands and gets like 100% of what you're saying all the time. Like you probably have a work bestie, a business bestie, someone that you can talk to about different things. The person that you talk to about your favorite movie or your favorite show, and maybe your partner's not really into watching The Bachelor, whatever it is, but kind of being able to compartmentalize those relationships was lesson number 2. That was very helpful for me. Lesson number 3, and a lot of this, I guess, has to do with relationships and other people, but lesson number 3 was that I never knew what networking connection I was going to make that was going to lead to something else in my life. So, and this isn't even necessarily on a business level, but I have met people along the years at conferences, online, clients. I've worked with people, collaborated with people, all the different things, but you met someone at a, workout class, whatever, who is going to, be there to support you when you're moving, be there to shout out your new business to a friend or refer you to a friend. And again, never going in with that intention, like I'm only trying to make a connection with someone to get something back out of it, but really going into relationships and meeting new people as like I am here to give, and hopefully the universe in some sort of way will bless this relationship so that it is mutually beneficial. But you never know what's going to happen. So get out there, put yourself outside the box, and make yourself a little uncomfortable and meet some new people. You never know where that relationship will evolve. I'm going to save that one. Okay. This one is a mindset one. Lesson number, I think it's 4. You have to be willing to do what others aren't to get the success that others won't get. So I've heard that, and maybe I worded it a little bit weird. So maybe stop and rewind this and go back and listen to that again. But I think the biggest thing for me on that was that, at a point in my life, a lot of my friends on the weekends were like going out to bars, and that just wasn't my thing. And that's not really what I wanted to spend time doing. So maybe that looked like me saying no to some of those invites to stay home and recharge, or to stay home and work on my business a little bit. And the recharging for me has been something really super important throughout my business as well, because I have suffered from burnout. You probably have too, but to avoid that burnout, I scheduled in and I was really intentional about resting and recharging and, giving myself a little bit of time away from my business and allowing myself that like peace to do something super fun that filled me up so that I could go back to my business and build it the way that I wanted to, and another way that really felt, really aligned and really great for me. So, sometimes, again, you have to be willing to do what others aren't. So say no to a happy hour, go live, invest in a coach, do those sorts of things in order to be able to get the results that others aren't going to get, because they're not willing to do the things. They're not willing to put themselves out there in that sort of way. All right, next up. I'm just going to do this one because we kind of talked about it already. Scheduling fun and breaks. So especially if you are in a season like 90-day sprints. I did a lot of 90-day sprints in the beginning of my business. And I kind of do that now with launching. in a roundabout sort of way, but making sure that you are not allowing yourself to burn out. Like there are times where you are taking the time for you. You're working out daily, you're moving your body, you're fueling yourself, you're having your girls' night once a week, whatever that looks like for you. You know, you're reading a book that's not just a business book. You're listening to a podcast that's not just a business podcast. Like I love listening to my Disney podcasts from time to time when I'm like, okay, I just can't take any more business stuff right now. So schedule in, and that's such a huge one, schedule in fun and breaks. Okay. I should have gone in order because now I'm like, ugh. On the same note, sort of as that, next lesson is that consistency matters so, so much. So if you have been in my realm, if you've listened to trainings that I've done, if you've listened to my podcast, I really, for lack of a better word, preach the 3 C's. Content. So you have to have good quality content, whether that maybe you don't even want to do social media, fine, but you are doing email marketing, you're getting out there in some or other sort of way. You have a blog, you have a YouTube channel, whatever. So you're creating content, you're creating connections, which I've talked about connections a lot on this video today. You're creating connections and you're being consistent. Consistency is key. You cannot give up after a week of going live every day and be like, well, I have no new followers. No one's even watching my stuff. No one's commenting below. No one's blah, blah, blah. You have to show up. Like I said, I have been in this business since 2016 and it's not always been consistent. And because of that, sometimes it has taken me a little bit longer because when I fall off the wagon, and you've probably been in this position as well, or you will be at some point in your business where you need to take a step back. Maybe you go on a trip. Maybe you get sick. Maybe COVID happened and lockdown happened or whatever. And you needed to take like a little pause and you weren't consistent. It takes time then to get that momentum back and to get that consistency back. So make sure you are allowing yourself. I always said in network marketing, and I think it still remains true in non-network marketing businesses, you have to allow yourself 30, 60, 90 days to really see results of your consistent daily action. Like you showing up and doing all the things, show up. That consistency is key. Like you can't have the content every once in a while, the connections every once in a while, and expect to see results. You have to have both of them along with your consistency to grow your dream business the way you want to grow it. And I mean, who doesn't want to grow it the way we want to grow it? I definitely should have gone in order. Okay, last 2. I said 7, but I'm throwing in a bonus because I've talked a lot about network marketing. The key to me being able to build my network marketing business in the way that I wanted, in a non-salesy, spammy way. This like pink glitter coming through on this background is really driving me crazy. So I apologize if it's driving you crazy too. But me growing my network marketing business, there is such a stigma around the industry, and I really wish it would stop. But I do understand where it comes from because there are so many leaders, companies, etc., telling women to build these businesses in an icky, spammy, gross sort of way that is not authentic, and it feels very much like you're not building your own business because you're preaching product, you're preaching company all the time. So what I did differently was I treated my network marketing business like my business. I built my brand, my personal brand, my Lindsay Dollinger brand, so that when people thought of me, they thought of what I really wanted to stand for with my brand. They thought of my values. They thought of me being ambitious and loving to travel and Disney and all these things that I was able to bring into from my personality into my business. And I followed up with my clients in a very authentic way. I invited people in a very authentic way. I created freebies. I did webinars and workshops. Like I made it my business, and it was truly a business for me. It was not just a hobby. It was not just something that I was doing, 10 minutes a day, every day, and scrolling social media and thinking that was me working my business. No, I took it very, very seriously. So that is my big lesson for my women on here who are my network marketers. Treat your business like a business and you will get business results. Treat it like a hobby and you will get hobby results. Okay, last tip, because this pink glitter is really getting out of control. I'm going to adjust my light. Maybe if I put more light on my face, it'll tell that I'm real and not. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe not, because I see it's coming back up. Okay, my last lesson is, and you hear it, and when I first heard this, I was like, oh, that's just someone trying to sell me into something. That's not true. It is true. I've learned it. But invest in yourself and get into masterminds, memberships, sign up for the business retreat, go to the conference, spend that money. One, it's a tax write-off. So if you have questions about that, talk to your accountant, or you can ask me for what I have been able to write off for my business tax-wise, as far as trainings. But, find those ones that you're aligned with and sign up for them. Because, even if you go into something like expecting, oh, by the time I get done with this, because I'm spending, X amount of money, I'm expecting to 10X it or 100X it or whatever that is for you. Even if that doesn't exactly happen, I guarantee you're going to get something out of it that you didn't even expect. A new business bestie, a new training idea, a collaboration. The possibilities are endless, but I just know every time that I have invested and signed up for a mastermind membership, retreat, and or conference, I have gotten something out of it. And again, it might not always be what I thought I was going to get out of it, but I got something out of it. And sometimes the thing that you get out of stuff, especially the lower ticket stuff I found, is how not to do things, because you're in it and you're like, ooh, I really hate this vibe, or I hate how this, this was not. And so that's an important lesson for us as business owners. Okay, I want to make sure that when I'm creating my sales pages and when I'm creating my content, I'm showing up so people know what they're going to get from me, so that they don't join something and feel icky and aligned. That's a huge business lesson that I learned from something that I have joined in the past. So again, you will always learn something. 99.9% of the time, it's going to far exceed your expectations. And if you don't, it's a learning lesson. A learning lesson. Do we even say that? A learning opportunity or a lesson. There we go. And a tax write-off. So bless, release, sign up for the next thing. But I love being in containers like that. One, it gives me something to look forward to, but the amount of accountability and what I'm able to learn from other people in those, totally worth it every single time. So I'm going to do a quick recap, because this went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Again, these are not necessarily the order that I just went to. I'm going to read the order that I actually wrote them down now. But these are some lessons that building my 6-figure business has taught me. Don't count on friends, family, or anyone to buy from you. You never know what networking connection is going to lead to a big break in your business or life. Consistency matters so much. You have to be willing to do what others aren't to get the success that others won't have. It can be lonely. Find people who understand you and get you. Schedule in fun and breaks. Network marketing is a business if you treat it like one. And masterminds, memberships, retreats, and conferences are all so important. So let me know what questions you have. Let me know if you have any other lessons that you have learned that you're like, I think you could totally add this in. There's so many other ones that I could have added to this, but I want to keep it short, sweet, something for you just to think about. That's really always my goal when I'm sharing this content, is just, something for you to think about. Can you apply it to your life? Had you not necessarily made that connection, but you have had that experience before in your life, because, that awareness, that self-awareness is a huge piece in becoming a business owner. If you love this, please screenshot this. Please share this with a friend, tag a friend, and keep your eyes peeled. If you are loving accountability, masterminds, all those sort of things, I have something really awesome coming up very, very soon toward the end of the month that you want to know about. Make sure you're on my email list, download some fun freebies, and let me know how I can support you. Go out there and create and own your magic.